Good morning. It's Tom Padula from TomPadulaTV on YouTube and, of course, Insegna Booksellers. And today is the 7th of August, 2022, and it's actually program 45. This is the 45th time that I'm dedicating the hour to Dante Alighieri and his Divina Commedia. And of course, the Inferno section of the three books has been done already, 1 to 34, and then there were 5 other presentations about the Inferno. And then I started with Purgatorio, and this is canto number 6. It's an interesting canto. It's the 6th canto of 33 canti of the Purgatorio book. And we are in Purgatorio. That means that we are sinners and expiating our sins in order to reach paradise. That's God's will. Now, we're talking about the Middle Ages here, where God and whatever was taught by the Christian monks, etc., they sort of had a very special type of faith. It was almost like very material, the fact that you followed God's will. In other words, that was the only way for you to reach salvation. And in order to reach salvation, you had to go to confess yourself before you died. Unshriven, it's called. So if you had to confess your sins, and then you could go to paradise, I suppose, or you received a lesser punishment. But if you ask for forgiveness right at the end without confession, that's what all this this canto is about. It's the way these people reacted to Dante's visit with Virgil through Purgatorio. Okay, so this is canto 6. Now, here we go, a bit of a summary here. By promising prayers to various unshriven penitents, in other words, people who had not confessed, Dante managed to extricate himself from the crowd. So they were walking through, and they noticed that he had a shadow. In other words, he was physically in Purgatorio. You're not allowed to be there. Of course, you have to be dead in order to go through hell, Purgatorio and Paradiso. But God decided that he would, give Dante a special dispensation. Of course, he's the writer, so he can do whatever he wants. Welcome to Tony Angelino. So that's where we are. We are in Canto 6 of Purgatorio, and Virgil and Dante are going through. So they meet a lot of souls, and one of them notices that he has a shadow, and then asks, "What are you doing here?" It's basically it's a very simple question. He didn't want to talk to them first, but when he saw Dante's shadow, he said, "My God, what's going on here?" So he wanted to find out. And then as they moved through that particular area of Purgatorio, they met other people. And of course, again, we're going to the Middle Ages. If you had sinned, or if you thought, whatever, you could ask for prayers. You could pay your way through. So it was a very practical religion at the time as well. Christianity began with the man on the cross. There was God. And then, of course, as the centuries went by, these people here, the Christians, became crusaders. They'd conquered also with the sword. So everyone, I don't know, it seems to me that in terms of religion, there's a faith, and each one of us has got their own faith, and it's important. But, institutionalized religion is different. it teaches the right things, but the people who do that sometimes do the wrong thing, and they too get punished. Don't worry, God doesn't make any distinction. Okay, so Dante manages to extricate himself from the crowd. Dante asks Virgil if the people's requests are in vain, since he recalls that Virgil's own writings suggest that prayers for the dead serve no purpose. Of course, Virgil replies that in his writing, prayer wasn't connected to the Christian God and didn't take into account God's justice and love. Anyway, Dante will understand all of this after he meets Beatrice's above. Hearing this, Dante is encouraged to climb more quickly. Okay, so there's another bit of analysis here. Again, the unshriven refer to people who died without a final confession of sin. Dante refers to a passage in Virgil's Aeneid in which Aeneas hears a warning that prayer cannot alter the God's decree. But this was Virgil before the birth. Welcome to Giuseppe Paparo. This was before Virgil lived before the birth of Christ. Therefore, whatever the old gods, if they had given a punishment, there was no forgiveness, sort of thing. You received your punishment. But with Christianity, things changed and they could be forgiven, provided that they showed love and etc., towards God and towards their fellow men, and asking for forgiveness as well. So, Virgil's Aeneid, in which Aeneas hears a warning that prayer cannot alter God's decree. It's important to remember that Virgil predated Jesus and Christianity. He now argues that the prayer of a living Christian, motivated by love, can fulfill the demands of justice for a penitent soul in purgatory. The brief mention of Beatrice spurs Dante to commit to the journey with greater fervour, which speaks to his deep and enduring love for her. Beatrice was a real person in Dante's life. They met in their youth, and Dante loved her and pined for her from afar all his life. Now, in this presentation here, and I've gone over time to begin my reading of Canto 6, I actually finished with my own poetry, my friend, books, book 1, and I'm going to start book 2. And guess what? The first chapter is about love. It's a coincidence, really. So that's where we're at. It's an important thing that we. I'm trying to do something else before I start, but I might have to wait for that. Well, let me see what I have to do, because I don't think my computer is going to be nice to me today, so I'll do something else instead. I'll do it through my other phone. Okay, here we go. All right, so this is Canto 6. Quando si parte il gioco della zara, colui che perde si rimane dolente, ripetendo le volte a trista impara, con l'altro se ne va tutta la gente, qual va dinanzi e qual di dietro il prende e qual dal lato gli si reca a mente. El non s'arresta e questo e quello intende. A cui porge la man più non fa pressa e così dalla calca si difende. Okay, this zara, the gioco della zara, is a joke of dice. You throw dice. This was very popular in the Middle Ages, and used to be played in the squares of the time, and it was un gioco d'azzardo. You had to guess what the numbers were. When they threw the dice, you had, before the dice hit the table, you had to guess which number would come out. Now, if it did, you got all the money that people had put on the table. If you weren't allowed to have certain numbers, because when those numbers came, there was no winning or losing, for that matter. It just stopped, and then it started again with the next throw of the dice. Now, what Dante is saying here is that quando si parte il gioco, when he entered this particular area of Purgatorio, they were surrounded by people, and he had to defend himself from them because they wanted him to stay with them, sort of thing. Ok, tale ero io in quella turba spessa, see? In that thick crowd. Turba relates to the wind, but turba in the sense of a lot of people. Volgendo a loro qua e là la faccia e promettendo mi sciogliere da esse. And they would say, hey, you that you come from Florence and you're still alive, could you tell them that I am in Purgatorio and I need the prayers, etc. So as he was going through, Dante would say, yes, of course I will do that. Yes, of course I will do. Yes, of course. It got too much for him. A bit like a politician going through the crowd. Have you done this? Have you done that? Can you put it? And so they, at that moment, they just want to disappear. So that's what Dante was feeling. Qui vera, and then he mentions a lot of, about 5 people, and I'm not going to explain who they were. I've got the book of Purgatorio there at Insegna, if anyone is interested. Of course, there are a lot of notes relating to Canto 6, and it's important that, if you want to do a study of Dante, the way to do it is to get the 3 books and follow these are podcasts as well, and therefore you can go through each one as we go along, and you can extend then your study. Simple. Well, so who were the people here that were close to Dante? Qui era l'Aretin che dalle braccia fiere di Ghinditacco ebbe la morte. He was killed. Okay? E l'altro che annegò correndo in caccia. The other one who was, he was hunting and he fell, he drowned. Qui vi pregavo con le mani sporte Federico Novelle e qual da Pisa che fe parer lo buon Marzucco forte. Again, it relates to battles. Vidi Conte orso e l'anima divisa dal corpo suo per astio e per invedia. So this guy here had his soul had moved away from his body. Commedia diceva non per colpa commisa, and he said, I didn't do that. Pier dalla broccia dico, e qui proveggia mentre di qua la donna di Brabante, sicché però non sia di peggior greggia. So again, la donna di Brabante had done something very wrong as well. Come libero fui da tutte, so he went through them, he's mentioned them, and in order for you and me to understand, I read some of it yesterday, the other day actually, when I was looking at Canto 6, and I thought to myself, oh gosh, there's too much here, too much information to give. So the best thing to do is say, all right, these are the 5 people that he mentions, find out. Come libero fui da tutte quante quell'ombre, the souls are shadows, ombre, che pregar pur ch'altri prieghi, sì che savacci lo divenir sante, io cominciai. So he then talks to Virgil. El par che tu mi nieghi, o luce mia, he calls him o luce mia to Virgil, his guide, espresso in alcun testo che decreto del ciel orazion prieghi. E questa gente prega pur di questo, sarebbe dunque loro speme vana, o non me il detto tuo ben manifesta. So he says, I've read your work, Virgil, and you said that, punishments cannot be altered by when somebody's dead. And it's interesting, isn't it? Then Christianity arrives, and if you adopt, the situation where love is in your heart, etc., even after you've done so many wrong things, you can be forgiven. Let's not forget that Dante was a writer, and he was an erudite person. He knew the mythology, the history, the Greeks and the Romans and before, I'm sure, because they had some convents where they used to keep libraries. So Dante would have had access to some of the books, or a lot of the books. If you're interested in knowledge, then it's important that you read up on things. Ed egli a me, that's Virgil, he says, la mia scrittura è piana, I'm very clear, e la speranza di costor non falla, but the hope of these people is not wrong either, se ben si guarda con la mente sana, if they use their brains, in a nice way, che in cima di giudizio non s'avvalla, perché fuoco d'amor compia in un punto ciò che soddisfar chi qui si astalla. So in other words, whoever is here and has love in their heart, they can look for the answer to their problem. In other words, prayers. If somebody prays for them, and that's why still today people give a mess you go to church, and there's still a lot of the belief of the Middle Ages here in today's world, but not in everyone. We're all different. E là dove io fermai cotesto punto, non s'ammendava per pregar difetto, perché il priego da Dio era disgiunto. Says, well, that's what happened then. Christ was not born, and then things, because when they are in hell or purgatorio, they can look at the past and at the future, but not at that very moment where they live. In one of those three places. Veramente a così alto sospetto non si fermar, se quella non ti dice che lume fia tra il vero e lo intelletto. Non so se intenti, io dico di Beatrice, so he says, veramente così alto sospetto non si ferma. Don't worry about this now, because you're going to find out, but you can't find out from me. You can find out from Beatrice. The love of Dante's life. It was platonic love, because he met her when he was young, and she married somebody else and she died young, I think at the age of 24, 25. So Dante, she left a big void in his heart in terms of, but Beatrice, he puts her in paradise along with the Madonna, etc. So she was really at the top level, and looking down, looking for him and helping me out to write this incredible story. So questo viaggio nell'aldilà. Non so se intendi, io dico di Beatrice, tu la vedrai di sopra, sulla vetta di questo monto, ridere felice. So you'll see her happy, and then she'll tell you. E io, Signore, andiamo a maggior fretta, che già non m'affatico come dianzi, e vedi ormai che il poggio l'ombra getta. See, let's go. Dante gets all excited the minute Beatrice gets mentioned. He wants to continue his voyage. Noi andremo con questo giorno innanzi, rispose, quanto più potremo ormai, ma il fatto è d'altra forma che non stanzi. Prima che sia là su, tornar vedrai colui che già si copre dalla costa, sì che i suoi raggi tu rompere non fai. Ma vedi là un'anima che posta sola soletta, in verso noi riguarda, quella non segnerà la via più tosta. So it says, okay, we're going to ask that there's a soul there further down, and we're going to ask how to get up the mountain the quickest way, etc. Because he's on his own, he'll probably tell us how to get there. Venimo a lei, to the soul. O anima lombarda, come ti stavi altera e disdegnosa, e nel moro degli occhi onesta e tarda. It recognized the person being from Lombardia, the region where Milan is. And of course, Mantova is in that region there, and Virgil was born there. And this guy here comes from Lombardia, so it's an interesting meeting when you meet somebody in another area of the physical world or the spiritual world coming from where you come from. Doesn't matter that you don't know them. There is something in there, Quando incontro un italiano, oh, Curtis, Al Tolman, welcome. When you meet another Italian, for example, and you are in America, or you meet an Australian in America, and it's happened to me. The minute it says Australian, straight away, I felt something in my heart. And the same when I got to Italy. It's a universal feeling. Venimmo a lei, o anima lombarda, come ti stavi altera e disdegnosa, e nel muovere degli occhi onesta e tarda. Ella non ci diceva alcuna cosa, ma lasciava in giro solo sguardando a guisa di leone quando si posa. So he stopped. Ella non diceva, didn't say anything, but pur Virgilia si trasse a lei, pregando che ne mostrasse la miglior salita, e quella mi rispose al suo dimando, ma di nostro paese, della vita, e inchiuse. So he didn't answer them. So how do we get there? Says he asks them, la vita, Mantua. Where do you come from? I'm from Mantua. Oh, e l'ombra tutta in serromita surve ver lui del loco ove pria stava dicendo, o mantovano, io son sordello della tua terra, e l'un l'altro abbracciava. And he went to embrace Virgil. First he didn't want to talk to me, disdegnoso. I don't talk to people, like you. It's a bit like the Milanese. They got a bit of that in them, but they're also very garrulous. But, people come from particular parts of the world. When they meet somebody from that part of the world, it's understandable. If you're far away from, where you came from, you can't deny that love that you feel in your heart for la patria, for your land. So, and this one here says, oh, Mando, I am sordello. Now, who is sordello, we'll find out. E l'un l'altro abbracciava. I serve Italia. And then this gives Dante the chance to actually hit his invective against Italy. Here we are. Ai serva Italia di dolore ostello, nava senza nocchieri in gran tempesta, non donna di provincia ma bordello. This country, this Italy here it doesn't have un nocchiere, the imperatore, there's nobody to lead it. There's a lot of confusion around me. Welcome to Angela Imola. And this, Dante changes things, he says, and he makes a comment about Italy. Quell'anima gentil fu così presta, sol per lo dolce suon della sua terra, di fare al cittadin suo quivi festa. So quell'anima gentile, that sordello, fu così presta, was so quick, sol per il dolce, only to hear the word Mantova, Mantua. Non donna di provincia, ma di bordello. In other words, it's one of those great feelings that a person who loves his country and is, it doesn't matter, it can be your club, it can be a person, it can be, but that feeling is important. Quell'anima, e ora, in te non stanno senza guerra li vivi tuoi, e l'un l'altro si rode di quei che un muro e una fossa serra. So these are references to the castles of the Middle Ages, where the lords, the people in power, put big thick walls and a moat around the castle so that people wouldn't get to them. So in other words, there's no love there. It's just control. cerca misera intorno della prode, i livi tuoi e l'un altro si rode di quei che un muro e una fossa serra. Cerca misera intorno della prode le tue marine, e poi ti guardi in seno, se alcuna parte in te di pace gode. Have a look at yourself, see where there's a bit of peace. There isn't much around, is there? Che val perché ti racconciassi il freno giustiniano se la sella è vuota. So what's the use of having the laws of the emperor, the Roman emperor Justiniano in Italiano, Justinian, he made laws which were still followed in the Middle Ages. But he says, those laws are worthless unless you have the controls over them. You can make all the words are cheap. You've got to then impose those will. And the only people who could do that in the Middle Ages was the emperor and the Pope, believe it or not. And the Pope ended up having more power than the emperor, who controlled all the kings under him. Cerca misera intorno dalla prua delle tue marine e poi ti guarda in seno se alcuna parte in te di pace gode. Che val perché ti racconciassi il freno giustiniano se la sella è vuota. So if no one is here in Italy to control all these people who do the wrong things, how can we impose the laws? You need someone who has control and power, authority. Che val perché ti racconciassi il freno giustiniano se San Sasso fuori la vergogna meno. Ai gente che dovresti essere devota e lasciar seder Cesare in la sella. Se ben intendi ciò che Dio ti nota, guarda come esta fiera è fatta fella per non essere corretta dagli sproni, poiché ponesti mano alla predella. I had something, give to Caesar what is Caesar and to God what's God. You remember the saying? Now, in this particular piece here, he says, you, the devout people, the Christian people, you are not listening. You're not listening to the emperor who wants to impose. You're not helping him out. You should be devout. E lasciar seder, and you should leave Caesar, lasciar Caesar in la sella, on his horse. But the horse is about, the horse for him is about power. You say sulla sella. It's a simile. I say, you should be following him. Guarda come esta fiera è fatta fella per non essere corretta dagli sproni. So the cavaliere that non sprona, when they're on the horse, you need to control the horse with his what are they called? On his shoes, there are he's sprone, where you telling the horse to go forward. So you need corrections, if you like. The world, society needs corrections. And we get that from the government. But do we always follow what they say? Maybe some do, some don't. Ok? E non si da disponi poi che ponesti man alla predella. O Alberto tedesco che abbandoni costei che fatti indomita e selvagge dovresti inforcarli i suoi arcioni. So you who are Alberto, who was looking, he was the emperor in Germany, and he looked after his own, the German people's interests rather than Italy's. He never went to Italy. So he says, but he controlled, politically speaking, he controlled the lands of Italy. But he never went there to see them. How are you going, people? That's what happens. Giusto giudice dalle stelle caggia sopra il tuo sangue, sia nuovo e aperto tal che il tuo successore temenza naggia. So it says, not just you, but also you, the person who will follow you. Let's hope that you come to Italy and sort things out, because here things are in a mess. Che avete tu e il tuo padre sofferto per cupidigia di costadi stretti, che il giardino dello imperio sia deserto. So you and your father, Alberto, I think it's Frederick II, you and your father, you've deserted us. I'm not quite sure. Again, these are historical notes within the book, Purgatorio. Vieni a vedere Montecchi e Cappelletti, come. Monaldi e Filippeschi, uom senza cura. Come and have a look at all these little kings. They don't look after things. Color già tristi e questi sono sospetti. Those are really bad ones, and these ones here, they're a bit suspect as well. Vien crudel, vieni e vedi la pressura dei tuoi gentili e cura lor magagne, e vedrai Santo Fior com'è oscura. Vieni a vedere la tua Roma che piagne vedova e sola, e dì e notte chiama. Cesare mio, perché non m'accompagni? So even Rome wants the emperor to establish order. He says, Cesare mio, why don't you accompany me? In other words, what Dante is saying, that the Pope and the King should be working together to have really good government. Vieni a vedere la gente quanto s'ama, e se nulla di noi pietà ti muove, a vergognarti viene della tua fama. So you should be ashamed of yourself for what you're not doing. E se licito me, o sommo Giove, che fosti in terra per noi crucifisso, sono i giusti occhi tuoi rivolti altrove? So, in government, the emperor and the pope, are their eyes looking somewhere else rather than what is under their nose? In other words, you have to love the people to make good laws, to make them follow them. O è preparazione che nell'abisso del tuo consiglio fai per alcun bene, in tutto dell'accorgere il nostro scisso? Che le città d'Italia tutte piene sono di tiranni, e un Marcello diventa ogni villan che parteggiando viene. So, le città d'Italia tutte piene sono di tiranni. Beautiful sentiment. Fiorenza mia, ben puoi essere contenta di questa digressione che non si tocca, mercé del popolo tuo che si argomenta. Molti hanno giustizia in cuore, tardi scocca per non venire senza consiglio all'arco, ma il popolo tuo là in sommo della bocca. Molti rifiutano lo comune incarico, ma il popolo tuo solicito risponde senza chiamare e grida, io mi sobbarco. I don't know what that means, but here, again, molti hanno giustizia in cuore. Many people have justice in their heart. E tardi scocca per non venire senza consiglio all'arco. So they, without some direction, etc., they can't come to the right place. Molti rifiutano lo comune incarico. Many refuse what should be good for all of us, ma il popolo tuo solicito risponde senza chiamare, io mi sobbarco, I give up. Or ti fa lieta che tu hai ben onde, tu ricca, tu con pace e tu con senno, se io dico il vero l'effetto non lo nasconde. So I've told you these things and you should be happy. Atene Lacedemona, che fenno l'antica legge e furti civili. So we have the Justinian laws in the Middle Ages that can be applied to their communities. And then he says, look at Atene e Lacedemona, che fenno l'antica legge furono civili. So they made the laws in the past, in the, many years before. Fecero al vivere bene un piccolo cenno. So Atene. These two, Atene e Lacedemona, che fenno l'antica legge furono civili, fecero al vivere bene un piccolo cenno verso di te, che fai tanto sottili provvedimenti, che a mezzo novembre, non giugno, quel che tu d'ottobre fili. In other words, you make some laws in October, and by the end of November, they're not there anymore. No one follows them. Unlike what used to happen in Atene and Lacedemona. So in other words, if you follow their example, then you'll have good government and there'll be more peace, and there'll be less subbuglio amongst the people. Because these were dangerous times, people lived when Dante was alive. Dangerous times, especially on the highways. People used to get attacked. Quante volte del tempo che rimembri, legge, moneta, ufficio e costume hai tu mutato e rinnovato a membre? So how many times have you changed that you can't even remember? You changed laws, money, offices and comune. Ufficio e costume, not comune. Legge, moneta, ufficio e costume hai tu mutato e rinnovato a membre. E se ben ti ricordi e vedi lume, vedrai te somigliante a quella inferma che non può trovar posa in sulle piume, ma con dar volta al suo dolore scherma. So it doesn't give much hope. There's a real terrible time here. It's an invective against Italy at the time. But it's not one Italy. It's split up into many little kingdoms. So there is, there's disunity. And it's going to take a long time before this disunity can be corrected. Wow. Unbelievable, huh? I just wanted to read a couple of the notes. See, here, the notes are: all'alzare si gioca di norma nella piazza del mercato su apposte tavoliere con dadi truccati da un baro di professione e dall'olocco di turno, schermati da un capannello di bighelloni e scrocconi. Unbelievable. So there's a lot of notes here. Every book that I have on Purgatorio has got ample notes. Ample notes. I'm going to finish there with number 6. It wasn't all that clear. I think there are too many references for me, historical references and also mythological, classical references as well. But the main one was that the souls in purgatory wanted to be helped by Dante, who was going through the area of Purgatorio. And so now we got to poetry, my friend, and I don't know whether I should do this in Italian or in English. Let me see. I've only got a few copies of the Italian version, but I've got quite a few copies of the Poetry, My Friend, English version. And, the first chapter is on l'amore. L'amore è ciò che muove l'umanità ed il cosmo. Se non fosse per questo moto intenso, anche la vita stessa non potrebbe essere. questo moto intenso, anche la vita stessa non potrebbe essere. L'amore è perciò una delle più importanti colonne della vita. L'amore ha bisogno di far parte ad ogni tipo di attività umana se noi vogliamo l'armonia fra noi stessi e fra tutti. È quando l'amore è assente che le cose vanno male, perché allora quell'elemento di cura per noi stessi e per gli altri viene perso nella palude della nostra esistenza. And this is my writing, by the way. Per uscire da tale situazione, tutto quello che abbiamo bisogno di nuovo è l'amore. Ci sono molti tipi di amore. Possiamo vivere una o molte di queste forme dell'amore in qualunque tempo. Uno degli elementi base di questa emozione, però, è il fatto che è passeggero. Lo possiamo perdere in ogni momento. Che cosa facciamo allora? Dove andiamo a cercarlo? Io non so le risposte. Quello che io so è che le manifestazioni dell'amore sono intorno a noi in tutti i tempi. La prima poesia, I think I'm going to stop there, because then I'll do the next time I'll continue, because there's a reference to the other, to the actual poems. All right, and this is poetry, my friend. I'll read you that bit there. Love is what makes humanity and the cosmos. If it were not for this intense emotion, there could not even be life itself. Love is therefore one of the most important pillars of life. Love needs to be part of every type of human activity if we want harmony between ourselves. It is when love is absent that things go wrong, because then that element of care which we have for ourselves and others become lost in the mire of our existence. To get out of such a situation, all we need once again is love. There are many types of love. We can live one or more of these forms of love at any time. One of the basic elements of this emotion, however, is that it is fleeting. Se ne va via presto. We can lose it at any time. What do we do then? Where do we go looking for it? I don't know the answers. What I do know is that manifestation of love are present around us at all times. And that's it for today. From Amica Poesia, Poetry, my friend, number 2. There they are. Different. It's a TomPadula young in the cover. Now, as I said, the Italian version of this second volume is, I've only got a couple of copies for myself, but basically that's it. Now, I wanted to concentrate today on some songs which I'm going to sing along with Coro all'Improviso at Il Carretto restaurant in Nicholson Street on next Wednesday from 3 o'clock till 4:30. I wonder how many people will actually come. Be good. Now, this morning, for some reason, I didn't come to the computer and worked out the songs that I was going to play for you. But I have here, I worked out a way to do it. Let me see if I can actually access them through my other computer, through my other iPhone, which is here. So let me see how I manage it. Okay, so here we go. We're going to go here. There. I'm going to Tom here. See there? And then this from Languages and Cultures. I go down, La Domenica andando alla messa, there's more, and this, Ho soldato innamorato. See that? So let me start and be patient. Let's see whether this works. That's the picture. Is very special because we'll be performing this at Il Carretto with the coro all'improvviso. In other words, whoever comes there, they'll be able to sing these songs, and I'll put them on Facebook so that people can learn them. The first set is O Soldato Innamorato, and then we're going to go on with
I can't do it like that.
Come Facetta Mammata e Santa Lucia, e quindi sono 3 canzoni napoletane. Cominciamo, Ho soldato innamorato generalmente viene fatta alla fine, però noi cominciamo con Ho soldato innamorato. Ok, 1 second and we'll go. All right, when you do that, you have to go out of there, and that's the problem. You got to go out. I've got to go out of there, and then that's out. Yeah. And then I have to go to here. Quanta notte non ti avete, non ti senti in questi braccia, non ti lasci questa faccia, ma la stenga forte in braccio a me. Ma asciugare questo cuore, ma voglio dire per te. Oh vita mia, ai cuore, questo cuore, si stata, oh prima amore sarà per me. Ai vita mia, ai cuore, questo cuore, si stata, oh prima amore sarà per me. Scrive sempre sta contenta, io non penso che sei sola, non pensiamo a una sola, che tu pensi solamente a me. Ah, più bella e tutta bella, non è mai più bella di te. Oh vita mia, ai cuore, questo cuore, si stata, oh mio amore, l'ultimo sarai per me. Ai vita mia, ai cuore, questo cuore, si stata, oh mio amore, l'ultimo sarai per me. That's great, isn't it? It's working. It's actually working. The system works. Now the problem is, what is the problem? There's no problem. I have to. Second important song is called Come Facetta Mammata, and it's a beautiful song. It's with a good story too. It's wonderful to sing it in the local language of Naples. Here we go. Wait a minute. Now, the thing is, when I introduced this one here, I made a mistake here, the second one. So I'll go here and What happened there?
Lo sapete come facete, lo sapete come facete. Per la stasta cannella, per la stasta cannella. Tutte quelle che mettete, tutte quelle che mettete. Sempre cose incappucciate, inchiamate misciate. Latte, rose, latte, facendo in troppo parte. Non c'è bisogno aggiungere la pagina con c'è. Come ho fatto mamma e te, lo sapete meglio te. Per questa bocca bella, per questa bocca bella. Non si metta questa cosa, non si metta questa cosa. Lo sapete che c'è una fetta, lo sapete che c'è una fetta. Vuoi dire tutte cose, vuoi dire tutte cose. Non parlare chine, tutte fraghe e giardino. Viene zucchero e cannella, sembra stata molto bella. Non c'è bisogno aggiungere la pagina di te. Come da fare mamma, quando faccio meglio te. E per farti pezzi d'ore, e per farti pezzi d'ore. Mamma cosa fai in vecchia, mamma cosa fai in vecchia. Per la mia tua moneta, per la mia tua moneta. Cosa fai che sei vecchia, cosa fai che sei vecchia. La miniera sana, tutta fatta farinata. Non c'è bisogno aggiungere la pagina con c'è. Come l'ha fatta mamma, lo faccio meglio te. Non c'è bisogno aggiungere la pagina con c'è. Come l'ha fatta mamma, lo faccio meglio te.
So, how is it going on the other side? Huh? Are we doing all right or not? Because it's an experiment, this one. And, what can I say? I have to survive when I when I do these podcasts. And the reason for that is also show you the difficulties that you can have, in this way. But let's go for the next one. Yeah, it's the third song in Neapolitan. We're going to do a trio of Neapolitan songs. And this one is the third one. It's called Santa Lucia. It's one of the old Neapolitan songs that has been around for a very long time and also in schools. I remember one of the teachers that used to sing it here about 40 years ago. So, this was the one that that particular teacher, Joe Abuso, it was Joe Abuso. He used to love Santa Lucia, and I dedicate this to him in good memory of Joe. I have lost track, of course, but Joe Abuso is a very important person for the Italian community in Melbourne because he was a principal of the Victorian School of Languages, which is to be called the Sunday School of Modern Languages. And he had textbooks, his name, and he did a lot of work, and he was a fantastic guy. So Santa Lucia for him, okay? And we're going to sing it at, we're going to sing there at Il Carretto next Wednesday. We're going to meet next Wednesday. Today is the 3rd, so it'll be the 10th. The 10th, we'll go there at 3 o'clock. Be there about, 10 to 3, and then we'll start at 3 o'clock, and we'll go till 4:30, and then that's it. Okay, and that'll be our first meeting together. So if anyone comes, we've got 12 songs, and we'll see whether we can do them all on that day. All right. Well, that was the intro. Now we're going to go. We're going to go to the next lot. Huh? You got to go. No. We're going to go to the next lot. Huh? You got to go. No. We're going to go to the next lot. Oops. Here we go. In una sera così serena, chi non domanda, chi non desidera, Santa Lucia, Santa Lucia, oh bella Napoli, oh soldato, oh del sorridere, con l'enfreato, tu sei l'impero dell'uomo mio, Santa Lucia, Santa Lucia, con questo zeffiro così soave, oh come bello star sulla nave, su passeggeri venite via, Santa Lucia, Santa Lucia, mare si fragido, vento si caro, scortar fai Tripoli al marinaro, e va gridando con allegria, Santa Lucia, perché tardate della sera, spira un'oretta, fresca e leggera, venite all'agile, perché cammino, Santa Lucia, Santa Lucia. Wow, that was the trio of songs that I've done. Now, of course, we're going to go now to the next. There are four trios of songs, so 12 songs altogether in my program that I want to do at Il Carretto. And eventually, if enough people come and learn the words, etc., da cosa nasce cosa e il tempo la governa. Now the next one. There are another 3 songs. That was the Neapolitan ones. These ones are the Italian ones. They're called La Domenica andando alla messa, Canta Pierrot, and Il tuo mondo is the second set. And I haven't done the other 2 sets, but this Wednesday coming, if we've got time, we can even do them there at Il Carretto. Okay, so here we go. Let me see. The 3 Neapolitan songs, and now we're going to do 3 others together with the Coro all'Improviso there at Il Carretto, and Dora tells me everything going well, of course, that she'll be there next Wednesday at 3 o'clock. We're going to start at 3 and we'll finish at 4:30. So anyone who comes, you can have a good time at Il Carretto, and then you can stay for whatever, dinner, whatever you want, coffee. You know, it's a beautiful place, and it's a really, really iconic place for Italian culture here in Melbourne, because Santo Aiello was the person, Tony's father began the business, and he was a wonderful ambassador of Italian culture and Sicilian culture here in Melbourne. So the next lot of 3 songs is La domenica andando alla messa, canta Pierrot and il tuo mondo. Okay, so we've got some Giuliola Cinquetti song, Claudio Villa, Canta Pierrot is one of the older ones. I don't know who sings it, but we can say we sing it ourselves here. Okay, so that's it. So if you want to join us and learn the songs, look them up on YouTube or Google for the words, etc., and come and join us at Il Carretto next Wednesday from 3 o'clock till 4:30. Okay, well that's there. All right, now I have to do the usual thing. You got to go out. Huh? You got to go out. No. Yeah, I have. Yes, that's it. Then go to. Here we go. Let's see. La domenica andando alla messa. Dora. Domenica andando alla messa, accompagnata dai miei amatori. Mi sorpresero i miei genitori, monachella mi fecero andare, poi sì io non no. Monachella mi fecero andare. Dimmi che mani sono innocente come il sol che risplende sul mare. Voglio dare un addio all'amore siciliano, no. Voglio dare un addio all'amore. Giovanotti piangete, piangete, han tagliato i miei giunti i capelli, tu lo sai erano ricchi, erano belli, giovanotti piangete con me, o sì o no. Giovanotti piangete con me, dimmi che mani che risplende sul mare. Voglio dare un addio all'amore, o sì o no. Voglio dare un addio all'amore, o sì o no. Voglio dare un addio all'amore. Well. Now I have to go out, and then. All right. Now I have to do the usual thing. What do I mean? What on? Oh gosh! Oh, no. What do I do? Here, I think I've stuffed it up. I think. No, it's still alive. It's good. That's good. Let's have a look. We can sort it out. That's how it is. You know what? I think I'm going to finish off here, but I really don't want to finish off. I don't want to finish off. I want to sort this one out because it's important that we do. Okay, now let's go. Now this one out because it's important that we do. Okay, here we go. Okay, we'll do this one here. Which one? Here we go. The song is Canta Pierrot. We'll do Canta Pierrot.
Vediamo un po', aspetta.
Vai piano. Dove te vai, Pierrot? Pallido e mesto così, senza un sorriso giocondo, sembrerà un angolo per il mondo. Che vuoi sperare dalla vita qua giù, quando v'è gente che non ama più? Prendi la fida chitarra, ritorna a cantare, non lacrimare. Canta Pierrot, la più stolta canzone del cuore. Canta perché se tu piangi si borran di te. Non sospirare nel ricordo del tempo che tu devi nella vita recitare la farsa che tu. Guardo in me la gioventù come sortello GD, brama soltanto il piacere, l'attimo solo volere, è su di un ritmo fatale del tango, ballando tango con scotch e onestà, credendo un ballo la vita, un ballo la vita. Hello Jeanette, yeah, coming to the end of it. Canta però la più bella canzone del cuore, canta perché se tu piangi si parla di te, non sospirare nel ricordo del tempo che tu devi nella vita recitare la farsa anche tu. Whoop. I'm still going to try to, no, we're on. Out we go. Okay, the last one. No, we don't want that. We want this one here. We want this one. This is Il Tuo Mondo. I cut out on the presentation, but we're over time. L'amore che tu avevi per me. Vorrei tornare indietro per un momento. Nel tempo non si ferma, corre lontano. Io stringo forte a me la piccola mano. Che un giorno mi accarezzava e da quel giorno i miei ricordi non dedico a te. Ero un bambino ma tu insegnavi a capire tutte le cose che tu sapevi da sempre. L'amore ricordo, l'ho imparato da te. Vorrei tornare indietro per un momento. Nel tempo non ci ferma, corre lontano. Io stringo forte a me la piccola mano. Che un giorno mi accarezzava e da quel giorno i miei ricordi li dedico a te. Vorrei tornare indietro per un momento. Nel tempo mi accarezzava Well, I've stuck it out. No, this is an experiment because some. Where are we? No, that's it. Oh well, it's a lot of fun doing what I'm doing now. I've gone over time. I'm sorry about that, but I just want to say that this is a fun thing to do, and I hope that we get something out of it. First of all, me, and then you, if you come on. You're very patient. Forgive all the mistakes, etc. It's all part of it. I regard, unless you're performing in public, to the public, etc., which is a performance to the public online, but one has to be not that serious all the time. And it's good that other people actually can see the human part of me. That's it. Now, thank you very much once again. It's Tom Padula from TomPadulaTV on YouTube and Insegna Booksellers. I have more to say next week. It'll be another week, another 4 programs. And until then, please keep safe, and I give you my best wishes for anything that you do. Okay, ciao, ciao. And this will now be available soon on my Facebook page.